It's time for my favorite part, the performance. Now, in case you can't tell, I was a stressed out theatre kid. My mother put me in amateur dramatics at the ripe old age of 5 or 6, I believe. She was like, "You will get confidence, my child. You will, and you will thank me." And thank her I did, because confidence I did gain. Did it really just teach me to mask? A little bit, but you know what? Fake it till you make it. The confidence eventually came. And while confidence is a huge part of your performance, there are many other aspects that go into it too. And that's what I'm here to help you with. Welcome back to my cosplay competition series, where today we're going to be talking about planning and writing a performance. If you missed the previous videos, you can check them out in the link below. But for now, let's get into it. Hopefully, at this point, you've chosen a character that you feel comfortable and confident performing in. But whether you do or don't worry, because that's what I'm here for. I once again have made a list, in case you couldn't tell that I have a terrible memory. And this list is what I and others look for when they're judging performances. To start with, did the audio have any editing at all? For example, was it just a song, or did they do some sort of editing to add voice lines in, or just have multiple different songs in there, something like that? Or was there even anything of note, like they voiced the character themselves? An important one for me and a lot of judges when watching is, did they make good use of the space on stage? Try to plan a performance that doesn't involve you staying in one position or one area of the stage. Sometimes conventions are going to have a huge space for you to work with. Use that space, make the most of it. Another important thing is, how were their facial expressions? Did they show what they were feeling? The expressions need to be readable from the audience. It's okay to be a little larger than life. Stage acting is completely different to TV and movie acting. Could you tell if they were feeling shocked? For example, you might be able to tell that I was feeling shocked on camera like this if I go, but will that translate well to the audience? You also need to keep in mind how your character acts. So for example, as Bennett from Genshin Impact, as well as being expressive in my face, I can use my body language. I can use the kind of emotes that they do. So for example, shocked in Bennett might be like that. You can practice these things easily in front of a mirror or record yourself and watch it back. You might feel a little cringy at first, but honestly, it's going to be on stage. You need to be able to see it. Hell, film it from a distance and see if you can see the emotions from as far away as your camera is. But what if your character has a mask? Body expressions. We should still be able to understand how the character is feeling by how you morph and move your body. Let me show you another example. Say I was feeling rage. Something like that. But if I had a mask on, this isn't going to be shown. So let's try it again with a mask. For example, this was the rage I did before. You can't really tell, so you need to over-exaggerate your movements. So to show rage with a mask, for example, I could go something like that. Get back on that head. Whew. Okay. Something else we're not really going to be looking out for, but we will be able to notice, is if something has gone wrong. Now keep in mind, the judges do not know your performance. So most of the time, we're not going to know if anything's gone wrong. But say for example, part of your costume breaks or your wig falls off. As silly as it sounds, ignore it and keep going. Judges are cosplayers as well, and we understand how heartbreaking it is for something we've worked so long on breaking, especially on stage in front of loads of people. But it happens, and I can promise you that everyone is nothing but supportive when it does. Just act through it, wait for the lights to go down, or when you leave stage, a member of staff will grab it for you and bring it to you. The show must go on, as they say, but so long as you do your best to act through it, most of the time the judges aren't going to mark you down for it. Another thing I like to see is there props on stage? And if so, did they interact with them? There is no point to having props on stage that you do not interact with. It's all well and good setting a scene. You don't have to interact with everything that you put up there, but there needs to be a reason for it being there. Just give us some interaction, you know? Another important one is, how accurate was your performance to the character? Not all competitions care about this, not all judges care about this, but most of the ones I do, they've cared. So in some ways that's staying true to the character. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to be canon with the performance you've created. At CosExpo earlier this year, someone did Link trying to go through airport security. Now, is that something Link has done? No. But they stayed in character the whole time. The interactions had were very accurate to the character. And overall, you walked away from it thinking, yeah, that is how Link would react in that situation. And with that comes a very important thing. If I didn't know the character, would I still be able to understand your performance? The chances are every judge isn't going to know the character that you are doing. And there is no way that everyone in the audience will also know what you're doing. So it's important to not be too close-minded with your script and keep in mind that some people are gonna have no idea what you're cosplaying. It should still be understandable to them. For example, with Bennett, I always talk about his bad luck in the script so that people in the audience know that he's really unlucky. With any performance, it should invoke emotion, whether that's making people laugh, making them feel unnerved, making them feel scared, happy, anything really. I want my attention to be grabbed. I want to be able to be absorbed into this world that you are bringing us into by watching you perform. And lastly, a performance is also about seeing how well you can move in the costume. Because I'm telling you now, if 2 armor builds went up there, one guy was moving like a robot and the other guy was doing something that involved a lot of movement, the one that did a lot of movement would get more points for their performance because they thought about their performance in the making of their costume. With all these things in mind, writing a performance that incorporates all of this can be a bit daunting, especially with some of the time limits that we're given to perform. My shortest performance to try and fit all of this in was 1 minute 15 seconds. In that performance, I tried to do all of the above and tell a complete story, all within 1 minute 15 seconds. I managed it, but whew, it was a stretch. Just remember, you don't have to tick all of these boxes, and most of them are just small and easy things to do. For example, if you don't want to use your own voice, that's completely fine, but you can make your own track by editing in voice lines that you want to use. If you are recording with your own voice, please make sure that there is no microphone pops and the audio isn't super low quality. It might sound okay coming out of your phone or out of your laptop, but when it's blasted on speakers to a big audience, it's going to be really noticeable. Also, be sure to speak clearly so that everybody can understand you. Sometimes your language might not be the first language of the judges, so you want to make sure that you're enunciating your words correctly. All of these things help make a great performance. I'll also put a link to my other performances in the description as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the performance side of competitions. If you have any of your own tips or tricks, make sure to leave them in the comments below, along with any questions, and I'll be sure to get to them as soon as I can. Leave a like to support the channel and subscribe to see the next video. The next video will be all about prejudging. I can't wait to see you there. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye!